If you're of a certain age, Jeep have been around forever and ever in Ireland, but they're kind of back in a stronger way now under the Stellantis group. This is the new Avenger. It's built in Poland, and because it's relatively close to home and across Europe, they've had over 65,000 orders for this car, and they reckon because of its proximity in Europe, you'll be able to get delivery and parts and supplies all that bit quicker. So what is it? Well, it's a kind of medium-sized crossover. It's a full EV. It's got 154 brake horsepower. It will do 100 kilowatt charging. It's got an 11 kilowatt onboard charger, and it gets a heat pump. But what's it like in the back and the boot? And is it something that you should be considering? Because the price is actually interesting. So let's do a little sort of deep dive today on the Jeep Avenger and see what you think of the car. So lots of the styling cues in this car are set up to make it appear rugged, be more rugged, things you can replace cheaply, like the black scuff plates on the car. You have these, I think they're meant to indicate kind of cells of batteries, but this is obviously, you know, just solid because it's an EV, so it doesn't need it. Not sure about this. It is a sticker. It's already starting to bubble. That actually smells like tree sap, but it's just glue. It smells kind of nice actually. Don't try that at home, kids. But it's, yeah, I'd be losing that. Wasn't sure on the colour actually. It's kind of like a graphite grey. You can get that very bright yellow because I have had this car on the channel in Malaga, where it was as sunny as it is here. You wouldn't think it's nearly October in Ireland. So that's the front of it. The rugged cues continue over the wheel arches. Good profile on those tyres. It actually does very well on Irish roads, potholes, roadworks. You know the way we love to put down a new road, dig it up again 2 weeks later in Ireland? Well, it copes pretty well with that. This styling continues on the mirrors. Just not a fan, just not feeling it. You've got Jeep moulding plastics along the underside of the car, and that comes down nicely, kind of straight down. It's an unusual shape by today's car standards, with a nice protruding roof spoiler and beautifully designed rear lights, and again more black plastic stuff and a nice Jeep logo on the back. This version of the car has an electric tailgate. It sometimes won't go down for me. Just see if it'll work now because I'm on camera. No. Now it's a warning beep, and I wonder is it because I've got the ignition on. I don't know what it is, but you can obviously manually close this, which I'm about to demonstrate to you in a second. It's a 355 litre boot. You get a washable Jeep cover, so if you got dogs and dirty football boots from the kids training and all that stuff, and then you've got a space down here for your cables. And a lot of more expensive cars don't give you somewhere to put your cables, so I've got to commend them for that. Despite the batteries, it's an all right boot size, 355 litres. There's nothing to write home about at the same time, but it's grand. See, you can close it manually. Say nothing. Shh. Door handles on the back of the car are flush, which assist with aerodynamics, which is very important for an EV. I said it on my Malaga trip. I stand by it. The door opening is still a little bit narrow. The space in the rear is still a little bit tight, depending on how much flexibility you have with the driver's seat. If you've got a bit of flexibility with the left passenger seat, because you put your taller rear person there, then it's okay. But as a standard place, if you've got tall passengers in the front and tall in the back, it is potentially going to cause you a couple of problems. You don't have an armrest. Smaller cars, I wouldn't expect it. This car, I kind of would. But you've got nice head heights over your head. Good visibility. Got a white roof liner in here, so it brightens things up. Even the rear window is all right for visibility from a point of view, but you've got good visual aids as well on board, which we'll get to in a second. One USB-C charger point back here. It's all scratchy, including on the dashboard in the front. But when I tell you the price, which I'm about to do in a second, it's kind of all right. Screen in the car is 10.25 inches. Same on the instruments. But that's 7 if you go for the entry levels. That's the one that's just over 35,000. You have this floating shelf. I remember on the launch, much ado was made about this kind of inserty in the colour of the car. I thought there was a flashing light at the end of that. Maybe there still is. I need to get to know it a little bit better. You've got shortcut buttons for everything. In fairness to Stellantis, they're quite good at that. I don't know about there's just 4 buttons for park, reverse, neutral and drive, or B mode. I don't know, hit and miss. This is a magnetic cover. It snaps off. You can hide things underneath it if you wish. You can throw that in the drawer in your kitchen and never look at it again if you don't want to. It has an E because it's electrified. So there's plenty of stories down here. They kind of made a big deal about the fact that there's 34 litres in total. You'll get a big drink under here. Let me just make sure the other car company's not on it. Just keep your drinks nice and toasty. You have dividers down here like them. They're for, you know, moving things around. Big bottle, small bottle, big box, little box. Sliding armrest. I'm a big fan of a sliding armrest. Just to let you know, I'm sure you know that by now. Physical buttons on the steering wheel. Good instruments. You know, there's lots of. It's just this. It's practical. Yes, it is cheap and nasty in the plastics, but I do come back to that price point again. Very comfortable seats. These are half leather. Depends again on specs, whatever you want to get. It's not actually leather, but you know the story. You can, of course, go in and time your nav and things to charge when you want them to charge. You have TomTom sat nav, which is very good. Actually, I don't have any complaints about it. You've got your CarPlay, Android, all that stuff. Good adjustability. Actually, like really good adjustability for the steering wheel, depending on how short, tall, long, short. Did I say that already? And if you want to use your radar cruise, you can adjust all that from the steering wheel. So there's no reaching around here for anything. So I am pretty happy with the inside. Oh, there's wireless charging down here in the car also. But my phone kind of slides around in that. It's quite big. I'd love the little grooves to be a little bit smaller, but you could argue we don't know where we're going in terms of phone size, so maybe they have left it big. But I don't know. I don't really see phones getting that big. You could charge an iPad mini wirelessly probably down there. The USB-C and A charging points also. One thing that has really struck me with this car is how efficient it is. So while the claims of 500 kilometers around a city, I just don't buy it. I don't think the battery's big enough. The energy consumption is pretty good. So it's doing like 15 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is very, very good. Temperatures look, it is warm enough. It's still 17, 18, 19 degrees. So I'm impressed with that. 15 and a half. That's good. That's without trying. So if you were trying, I can only imagine where you'd get. And it's brisk enough. There's enough torque that it generates enough speed when you want to overtake. It's fairly quiet. The indicator, I don't know if you can hear that. It's it's kind of like symbolic of a drum kit. Now, my kids love it, so maybe I'm just being a cranky old man, I don't know, but the boom-ch, boom-ch, not necessarily something. I mean, I don't think there's any indicator in the world that actually sounds like you want to listen to it, but they've done their best just to. It's like a heartbeat and a hi-hat at the same time. Not convinced. I mentioned the steering earlier on, the adjustability in that. Seats very much the same. If you want to sit nice and low, you can. If you like the crossover setup and you want to sit a bit higher, you've got adjustability in that. Everything is within easy reach. The volume knob, the controls on the steering wheel, and the shortcut buttons are all really, really close by. So they've done a really good job there. A lot of cars, they're just getting this stuff so wrong these days, particularly if everything is behind screens. And I think people are just crying out for a mix of both. I do get that screens absolutely have a benefit as well, but having the option there of both is very, very good. It's quite an easy car to drive. Steering is light. You have B mode if you want to have a more intense regen brake scenario. It's still not one pedal driving, but as soon as you drop, you actually feel resistance, even if you're driving the car. Now, if you learn to take your foot off in time from, satellite stuff, but it won't bring it to a halt by yourself. You're going to have to do that, but it will certainly it will take some of the braking out of the car for you. Can't say I use it much myself, but the car will do hill descent up to 70 kilometers an hour. Maybe you live somewhere very hilly. Maybe you're thinking of moving to San Francisco with your car, with the steering wheel on this side of the road. I don't know, but if hill descent is something that you think you would benefit from, the Avenger will mind you up to 70 kilometers per hour. Actually, a decent little package in a car that's nippy to drive, great for city environments. If you are going to be doing longer motorway driving or cross-country driving, you have that added bonus of the car being able to facilitate up to 100 kilowatt charging. That's just about okay for now still, because you'd be surprised how rare even 100 kilowatt chargers are. But in the next 3 to 5 years, that 100 kilowatt won't be that fast at all. So like everything to do with technology, which cars are as much of these days, technology as much as cars, you know, things will progress at a very, very fast rate. Just something to be aware of. But for a lot of people, when you actually figure your mileage out, it's not really a thing. That indicator. Yeah. Burning question is it good value for money? Is it an EV that I'd be considering today? Well, at the 35,000 euro, very much so. That's a very interesting price point. Factor in the decent enough charging speed on it. The efficiency, which is, I've really been impressed by that. At the more expensive end of the scale, in the low 40s, then the Renault Megane comes into it, the ID3 comes into it, the Ioniq 5, so that's kind of a crowded enough space. But at 35, if you're willing to sacrifice a few toys, smaller screen for the entry-level price, then they've priced this very, very keenly. Let me know your thoughts. Your comments are very welcome down below, as always. Thank you so much for coming with me this far in the video today. I'll see you on the next one.